Baru apa?
Iya, kilometer Welcome to ETOC Smart Cost Control Practices in the Hospitality and Tourism Industry. Good morning and have a nice day to our VIP, speaker, moderator, and beloved student who participate today. My name is Muhammad Azrul bin Aldin from Faculty Hotel and Tourism as the project manager for this event. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming to our event today, and thank you for our VIPs, speakers, Mr. Ruben Seladurai and Mr. Shan Mugarajan, to also our moderator, Mr. Muhammad Taufik bin Zamri, today who is willing to come and participate to this event. We should be grateful today because even though we know that our VIP and speaker and moderator are busy, but they look like they're still come to manage to and support our event. Thank you once again. Before we start, allow me to tell about the ETOC etiquette. First, please mute your microphone to prevent unwanted background noise. Second, please find a suitable location where you can enjoy the ETOC without any distraction. Third, use the Zoom chat box to ask the question. Specify the speaker you like the question to be answered. Attendance and survey form will be available at the end of program. On this day, we will have an amazing moderator who will conduct our ETOC event. He is our senior lecturer, Faculty Hotel and Tourism Management, UITM Puncak Alam, Mr. Muhammad Taufik bin Zamri. Hereby, we invited Mr. Muhammad Taufik bin Zamri to continue this ETOC season. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Zirul. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for finding time and visiting today's webinar. My name is Muhammad Taufik Zamri. I am a senior lecturer of Hotel Management Department at the Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, UITM, the pioneer of hospitality program in Malaysia. Now, I will ask you one question to check if you can see and hear as well. Okay, I would like to make a survey. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Right, great. Yes, great. Our topic today is smart cost control practices in the hospitality and tourism industry. And the speakers are Mr. Ruben Seladurai and Mr. Shan Mugarajan S. Nalia. So before we start, let me explain how you can talk to us during the webinar, right? If you have any questions during the presentation, just write them to chat. We will have short breaks and a presentation during the presentation and the Q&A session at the end to answer your questions. Now we can begin. Let me introduce our speaker. The first speaker for today is Mr. Ruben Seladurai. He is stepped in hospitality industry since 1992 as a waiter, and nothing can stop him to move forward in this industry. Nearly 30 years devoting himself in this industry with responsibilities to various F&B managerial posts. He is currently shined as the operations manager at Holiday Villa Hotel and Residence, Qatar. Mr. Ruben, are you ready? Do you have Mr. Ruben here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Ruben, over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, all students. First of all, I would like to thank the campus hotel management faculty of hotel management and tourism, UITM Puncak Alam campus. I also like to say thanks to Mr. Yasman for inviting me for this wonderful forum, and also to Mr. Azrul, the event manager, and Miss Flora Shumin as the advisor for this event. And also big thanks to the moderator as well. Okay, firstly, let me just introduce myself. My name is Ruben Seladurai. I'm 47 years old. Currently, I'm back in Malaysia after a long break. I've been in the hotel industry since 1991, 92, and I never quit the job. I'm still in the hotel management business, right? I bring myself around 25 to 25 over years of experience in the food and beverage department. yeah, I will work in multi places in Malaysia and also abroad. I was in Maldives for about 2 years, and I was in Qatar for 4 years. I just got back and taking a short break at the moment during this pandemic time. Right? Okay, guys. If you find me going a bit too fast, then if you please let me know so I could slow down a little bit. I'll be glad to also answer your questions, whatever questions you have in the later session. First of all, we are speaking about cost, smart cost. Okay, cost is something that I would like to establish a little bit. I think I have a very short time. I can't explain everything in maybe 20, 25 minutes. Of course, cannot. But I'll try to make it as quick and easy for you all to understand what is smart cost control is all about. Now, in the hotel industry, making revenue and getting your rooms fully booked on a daily basis doesn't mean it's good. All right. The most important thing that we need to understand is we need to have some sort of guidance or guidelines to run a business. Now, without having a smart cost control factor, you would never achieve profit, right? At the end of the day, you will be just spending as what you receive. What you get from the end, you will be just spending it unwisely. So there is no proper control in terms of how do you make a profit in this manner. So to make it very short, there is two things that you have to remember in smart cost. There is a fixed cost and there is a variable cost, right? Fixed cost is something that we cannot control, all right? For an example, fixed cost, I'll just give you a few examples, like the property land that you got to buy, the rental you got to pay in the bank, all right? The tax you got to pay, the maintenance fee, that's all fixed costs that you cannot control, right? And then also you have the variable cost. Variable cost is something that you can control and it's in your hand. Example like food and beverage, the food cost, the beverage cost, manpower costs, costs like decorations, costs like room utilities, costs like how do I say things that you need that you could control. That is called variable cost. So having cost control is very, very important for us. Something like a guidelines that how much you have in a month to spend. What you spend, you need to return it to a profit, right? So having this cost control measures is very, very important. Let me give you an example. During the 1991, when I started off, we needed everything to be done by manpower, right? Example, if you have a waiter does a waiter job. If you have a cashier does a cashier job. You have a manager does a manager job. You have a chef does cooking. You have stewarding does washing. But nowadays, in the current world now, we do not practice that because that is one of the major cost factor, manpower, right? Manpower became a major cost factor. So what has happened throughout the years, we started to understand that multitasking by one person saves a huge amount of money in terms of cost, right? So that is something that we have learned in many years from the hotel management from the 1990s till now, right? And cost factor is something that also starts from everyone in the hotel. Everyone plays a part, right? Every single person in the industry plays a part in cost factor. It starts from the security department, from the finance department, from every employees in the industry. Everyone plays a very, very important role in terms of cutting costs, because if someone doesn't see something that is not right and highlight, it affects the entire performance of the hotel. When it affects the entire performance of the hotel loses money. It will affect back to the employees in terms of their increment, in terms of their bonus, in terms of a lot of things where they do not see because they think it's a very small thing. It's a very small thing, right? Let me just make it very simple for you all to understand. Just for instance, let's take a Kedai Mama, right? Kedai Mama. Those days in Kedai Mama, when you go to Kedai Mama, you see they keep serviettes or tissue on the table, right? They keep tissue and serviettes on the table. So the customers can use as much as they can. But nowadays, you see, all the tissues is not kept on the table anymore. It's kept in the cashier counter. While you're paying, they give you one. Why? That is actually a big cost if you look at the bigger picture. But we do not see that as a bigger picture because this tissue, we just take 2 or 3. So imagine if you order a roti canai, you need to pay for the guy who makes the roti canai. You need to pay for the person who serves the roti canai. You need to pay for the guy who cooks the curry, right? So there's so many things just for a bread for 1 ringgit 20 cents, or I don't know, nowadays it's 150 or 1 ringgit around that price. So many people are involved in that one bread, and the cost factor for that is high. Just to make it a very easy way for you all to understand in terms of cost, because the current situation nowadays, people do not understand this because they do not see in the bigger picture. At the end of the day, when you have your P&L report, profit and loss report in a month, from the profit and loss report is where you actually really see the bigger picture. Suddenly you say, oh, this month you spend maybe about $6,000 on tissue, where your revenue is only about maybe 15,000 or 6,000 on tissue paper alone. So how do you manage that? So what counter do you do that? So it's very, very important for us to understand that smart cost controlling is done before you start any business. You have a guideline. You just have a guideline, so everyone follows the guideline. Sometimes you might go above the guideline, doesn't matter, but it always has to reflect with the revenue. For instance, if you put a budget of 1,000 ringgit for a 7,000 ringgit revenue, but you spend 1,500 and you got $10,000 revenue, it justifies. That is justifiable. How do you justify? But if you spend 1,500 and you still make 7,000, then you lose in terms of profit. I hope everyone understands what I'm trying to say is actually a very low-term way of explaining things, because I don't have much time to actually go very much in detail. I don't know, moderator Mr. Taufik, how much more time do I have?
We still have like 15 minutes, Mr.
Okay, sure. So yeah, so that's something that you have to understand. So another thing that everyone in the industry nowadays they talk about is about cost cutting. Let me talk about cost cutting. Cost cutting is something not bad. Doesn't mean that everything that we must cut costs. We always look at what we can cut costs. It's very important to always find in your establishment or your business, what can you cut costs in? Doesn't mean cutting costs will reflect into customers' expectation. No. For instance, let me give you an example of cost cutting. Okay, cost cutting one, I give you an example like just now. You do not place your tissue papers on the table, but you leave it at the cash counter. So customers still gets their satisfaction, but you're controlling in a certain way. Secondly, in terms of manpower, multitasking is the current keyword in the hotel industry, where one person is supposed to learn 3-4 jobs. Example, if you're a bartender, you need to be the cashier. So you do the drinks and you also punch the bill and you also settle the bill. So it's multitasking where you get 2 skills. Be more multi-skill focused. Yeah, that's what we are looking at. But it's what the current hotel industry is looking in terms of every employee is to be multi-skilled. Sometimes you work in the F&B department for 2-3 years, you cross exposure to housekeeping or you cross exposure to front office. So if any departments is short of manpower, they could send a person to help out. Right? That also brings more expertise on yourself. It also develops your skills. It's more easy for you in future for you to get promoted because you'll be multi-skilled. Because nowadays, I don't think any employers are looking for staff that is only focused in one area or being expertised in one area, because hotel is something that you run everything. You need to know how to run the restaurants. You need to know maintenance. Doesn't mean you need to know maintenance, means you need to know the entire work of it, but a small general knowledge about maintenance, how to manage the maintenance department, how do you manage a housekeeping department. So all this comes back down again to smart cost controlling, again, in terms of manpower, in terms of efficiency. For instance, those days, back in my time, one housekeeping attendant will only do about 7 rooms to 8 rooms in one shift. That's 8 hours. Now the current requirement for one staff is to do 15 rooms. 15 rooms in 8 hours. And that is something that is challenging. But with the training, with the current technology, with everything like this, it is proven. So what happens is we cut short by 1 manpower. From 7 rooms to 1 staff doing 15 rooms. Right? How do we do that? We invest in trainings. We invest in course exposure. We invest in terms of giving them exposure. So in long run, you spend a little bit in short run, but in long run, you get back in terms of profit. So that's actually very, very important for you all to understand what is actually cost cutting. I believe nowadays everyone doesn't look at it important, because you know why? No one likes to see numbers. I believe no one likes to see numbers. Even if you ask me, if you give me back my 10 years before, I don't like to see numbers. So at the end of the month, when the general manager calls for food P&L meeting, all don't want to go, because we don't want to see numbers. We just want to make money. And we think that making money, making profit. But you will be surprised. Sometimes you make a lot of money, but when you go for your P&L, when you see the breakdown, you'll be shocked. You only make profit of about 3%, 4%. You'll be shocked. You work so tired, you work so hard. You did a lot of things. You worked extra hours. You put in 14 hours, 15 hours, day and night, working. At the end of the day, you make 2%, 3% profit. When that happens, the owner is not happy, of course, right? The general manager will not be happy, because it's not delivering what is promised. So who takes the blame? You can't take the blame, because you think that you have worked so hard. But you forgot something. You overspent. You didn't control your budget. You never realized. You gave extra overtime to staff. Staff was not efficient. Staff didn't turn up to work. You had to get extra people to work. And then you put in too much hours. But all comes down to effortless, because at the end of the day, profit is the one who speaks for it at the end of the day. So you'll be saying to the GM, boss, why are you angry with me? I work so hard. I work 14 hours a day, but for the bosses, what's the point? You only make 2% profit. What am I going to say to the owner? How am I going to pay the bank loan? How am I going to pay the taxes? How am I going to pay the salary? So this is the point that many of the youngsters currently do not see that. They think working hard is good, but not working hard, but not being smart, it's another problem. This is why we always emphasize about budget, very important budget. For instance, I just give you how we used to do it, or how I do it. Like example, if I get say 200 ringgit, say decoration budget in a month. So it's divided to 4 weeks. So you only can spend 50 ringgit a week. So if you follow that, you will not cross your budget. You have to be smart in how you're going to get how are you going to do it with 50 ringgit? Where do you get your resources from? Because if you do not do that, you will be spending because it's not your money. At the end of the day, it's not your money. It's the owner's money where you do not feel it's your money. So you do not take that as the importance and you just overspend. When you overspend and you do not get the return, then you cannot be justifiable. So always remember, in any business you do, or whenever if you're going into the hotel management, always remember to understand your profit and loss. I would say a profit and loss paper before you start to do anything. Before you want to plan to do anything, you must understand your profit and loss report. And that is something that most of them don't like to see. As I said again, it's all numbers, too much of numbers, too much of figures. But once you understand how to read it, it's very simple, very interesting. It actually guides you how to run your business. It's a very important tool for you to understand profit and loss. Right? I guess that's what I have to say about smart cost control. I think I've covered most of it. Another biggest department, I would not say the biggest department, is actually the cost control, or I'd say the purchasing department. They play a very important role. I think that one Mr. Shan will cover later because he's more familiarized in cost controlling in terms of purchases and also how you manage the store. That's very, very important topic because that's where the big money is lost. All of y'all know the biggest money in the hotel in a hotel is the food and beverage, especially the kitchen. That's the biggest department. So I think Mr. Shan will cover that later on. But when you have any questions, you could ask. Maybe I would also answer in behalf of Mr. Shan as well later. Yeah, I guess if anyone has anything to ask me, or if you want me to touch on anything, I would be able to.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ruben. Mr. Ruben, I have just one question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, since we have like another 8 minutes, okay, do you have any views on being in the industry for so long, and then you are being responsible as HODs in F&B department yourself? So what is your view about cost controlling is the responsibilities of all, not only HODs, is the responsibility of all employees as well. So what is your views on that?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Taufik, it's a good question. As I said earlier on, this cost controlling comes down from everyone from the ground level. You see, as a HOD, we are sitting in the office, we are planning, controlling in terms of, how you say, in terms of money. That's the HOD's job. But if the staff in the ground level doesn't understand, then it will be a problem. Example, okay, this is the common thing happens in the hotel. I think y'all maybe wouldn't know, but I think this is something very common. You see, when a staff clears the dirty soil, dirty plates from the table, right? So they are so lazy to get their hands dirty, they throw the fork and spoon together in the dustbin. You know, when they clear the dustbin, they hit the plate into the dustbin, right? They also clear the fork and spoon. So imagine in one day, if you lose about 20 pairs of fork and spoon, in 1 month, your inventories get short. Am I right? Your inventory tends to get short. And then the manager comes and see the HOD and asks, boss, my inventory is not enough. My calories are. I said, what happened? Where did it go to? I don't know. We did inventory is short. We short about 100 over pairs. We need to purchase because we cannot run that. We cannot run the restaurant, not enough fork and spoon. So is that money? That's money. Okay. Now, where do you think this money come from? The owners is not going to give you money to buy like this. So where the money comes from? They tend to forget every equipment or every things like this gets lost. It comes back from their own money, from their own service charge. So this kind of message has to be delivered to the staff level, so they understand and they take care of the equipment, or they take care of their inventories. Because more inventories gets missing, more glassware gets broken because of no proper handling, no proper storage, carelessness, carrying overweight of glassware where it tends to break. The repurchases of the equipment comes from the service charge, and service charge is their own money. So the more money we spend for this kind of breakages, I would say breakages and loss comes back from their money. They don't understand this. They don't, most of them don't. If this is not being channeled down to the staffs, they will never understand this. So that's why nowadays in most hotels, we have a lot of posters. We have a lot of awareness. We have a lot of things putting at the back lane, or to give them awareness, to make them understand. If you're lazy, when you start to throw cutleries, it comes from your own pocket. Then they will tend to tell their staff, hey, don't do that. When they see something wrong, hey, don't do that. It's my money, it's your money. They tend to start thinking that way. So that kind of culture, we need to be more emphasizing to them in time to time, in weekly, in briefing, sometime on a monthly forum, where we have staff gatherings. We have to inform them regularly, so they understand. When they understand, they tend to teach their friends, or they try to correct their colleagues, right, to stop doing that. This is another very famous things they used to do. They used to take the tissue paper, wipe their shoes, then take and just throw. For them it's like, it's not their money, it's hotel money, no problem. But they don't understand it's reflecting on their service charge at the end of the day.
So I think it's a battle of your entire career.
Yes, it's a very big thing, and it's not easy for them to understand. As I said again, to actually educate them, it's not easy, because we have to go to the level sometimes of their culture, their background. So we need to really make them understand that every single cent, like this example, every single tissue, one piece of tissue, it's money, even though it's 0.0001 cent.
Correct.
If in a month, in a year, it is still money. And this money is coming from your service charge. Customers are paying you to do service, and you're not taking back the full money because of this carelessness of your breaking. Because when everything breaks, we need the owners will not, once the owners purchase it, they will not buy for the next 10 years. So in the next 10 years, if you tend to start losing things and things start breaking, the owners is not going to top it up and give you a good life. No way. So you need to figure out. So the GM will do what? Okay, now the service charge, we need to cut this much, we need to repurchase back. And so it gets hit back to the employees, I would say, income. So we need to make them understand, and they need to understand what is effective cost. Not only doing the job and coming and just doing the job and going back without any knowledge. So they also, you see, once if they are not, once they do not understand, then it's difficult for everyone. It's difficult for everyone. At the end of the day, it's difficult for everyone. Yes, Mr. Taufik.
Thank you, Mr. Ruben, for the excellent presentation. I think we give time for another speakers, Mr. Shan. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Ruben.
Thank you, Mr. Taufik. Thank you, everyone again.
So we come back later during the Q&A session. Right. Okay, now let me introduce the second speaker, Mr. Shan Mugarajan as Nalia. His 30 years journey in hospitality industry is colorful, I can say. So the first 10 years of his experience, he began his journey with the various F&B junior posts and front office since 1989 to 1999. However, in 2000, he shifted his field to finance and costing, and nothing can stop him to climb the ladder in this area up until now. He is currently the assistant cost controller for Sunway Putra Hotel, Kuala Lumpur. Mr. Shan, are you ready? Mr. Shan?
Okay, can you all see me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Shan, over to you. Right.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invite. I'd like to thank especially Azman, the main guy who's been in touch with me to hold out this before I can come and speak on this subject on smart cost controlling. I also like to thank the invitation to Ms. Rosliani, Jeremy Anna Marwa, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, and event manager Muhammad Azizul, and event advisor Flora Suming Chan Abdullah. Thank you, and I'd like to thank UITM Puncak Alam for inviting me as a guest speaker. Okay, good evening. Sorry. good afternoon. It's going to be morning now. It's going to be soon afternoon. Anyway, thank you guys once again. Okay, I think you all would have heard from Mr. Ruben, who's been in the industry. Especially he's been, I also, actually when they asked me to introduce another speaker, so I thought of this great guy, Ruben. Actually, we have worked together in Holiday Inn Glenmarie, Shah Alam, and so I know him in PJ Hilton, and I've worked with him a few years. He's a very experienced, vast knowledge in F&B. Okay, and I'm coming to my part. I think you would have heard from Ruben whatever he had to say. He has said in management point of view as a HOD and also as a cost control point. Okay, and see, I am a hands-on cost controller. See, when I started my industry, I started in F&B, then I went to front office, then I went to finance. That's where I started. So I'm very also in F&B and also in front office and also in cost controlling. So I started at those days, they call it night audit, when you check all the bills, all the transition for the whole day for the hotel. So I slowly moved up and I became a cost controller. So when I was a finance exec, I was an income auditor. That means I was in charge of revenue for the hotel. And what happened is one day there was a position available, the cost controller left. So my boss, the director of finance, came to me and said, do you want to learn cost controlling? I said, okay, fine. I said, fine. And the best part, the first day, so I thought, okay, it's interesting. So I thought, let's give a try. So he said, come in the morning, 6 o'clock. I said, okay. So I wore my, as usual, office attire, tie, and so I said, come to the loading bay. So I said, okay, fine. So when I went to the loading bay, there's also beside about few meters, there's also where you dump all your garbage and all your rubbish for the day. And so 6 o'clock, there's a big wastage bin where the truck will come and offload. And he came with the shorts and t-shirt. So I said, what this guy? This is my boss, and I'm wearing a tie. And my boss came in. He jumped into the waste bin, the big, huge waste bin. So I said, why, boss, are you jumping in? He said, this is where the cost is. So I said, what, in a garbage bin? He said, no. He opened up all the garbage bin. He started putting his hand, digging out. You know why? That is where all the chefs throw all their wastage, all their spoilages. They don't keep track of their inventory, sometimes spoil the meat. So that's where then he started taking picture. And he said, come, let's go back. So he went, he took his shower and he came back from the staff locker room, sent an email to the chef with all the pictures, all the meat that is sold. So the cost control comes, like what Mr. Ruben said, 30% comes from food cost. Another 25% comes from your beverage cost. So you got 100% cost, right? And you got your revenue. So this itself takes up 55% of the hotel cost. So this is where, like Mr. Ruben said, it's very important. The kitchen, the F&B. These are the two main departments that I go after. The second thing, the most important cost is the labor cost. That is where the finance director and the director of HR or the HR manager will look. But half of your expenses or your profit comes from food and beverage cost. That's why whenever we work with chef and the F&B director, the F&B manager, we look into the tiniest thing. Example I give you. When we do recipe costing, okay? Recipe costing is when you do, okay, a nasi goreng. I'm giving you a very simple layman thing. A nasi goreng, okay, what you put, all the ingredients, then you do the cost, what's the cost and what's the wastage and all this thing. But in order, before you do all this thing, there's another important thing that we need to look into smart cost is yield management. Okay, what is yield management is, like example, you buy a watermelon. One watermelon might, the weight might be like 4 to 5 kilos. Okay, But do you use everything? No, you don't. When you go to a buffet, any hotel buffet, you only see the fruit, the stem, everything is cut off. So that's where we, as a cost controller, will go in and do the yield management. That means we cut the fruit, we take out what is the wastage, we weigh the wastage. So just say 1 kilo of watermelon costs you about 2 ringgit 50 cents. But in actual fact, no, because you throw away all the stem, everything, correct? So after the yield test, the cost factor we put in. So 1 kg of watermelon will cost you about 3 ringgit and 50 cents. That's where the yield factor, that's where you come out with the pricing for your menu. Okay, it's not just, oh, I put this, I put that. No. So the yield factor is one more thing that you need to look into. So recipe costing is very important. Doesn't matter whether it's food recipe or your beverage recipe. Everything you need to be costed. Okay, this in this current pandemic, or whether it's going to be, when you talk about the subjects part, let me tell you something. In my vast experience, cost control, you still have to practice the old school. That means putting your hand into the garbage bin, looking into spot checking on whether chefs and F&B are stocking up their things. That is where all this you need to go around daily to check as a cost controller. So they hate me, you know, F&B and kitchen team, they hit the max. And the moment they see us walking in, you know, the cost control team or anything walking, they said, okay, here comes trouble. You know, that's how we work with chef. We go on, we look at whether it's, that's why we do monthly inventory. We do weekly spot check. Okay, this, you don't need to be smart. You just have to be, this all no need to use technology. You just have to, sometimes this cost control thing is something that you've got to go and put your hands down, you know, whether they are managing like what, Mr. Ruben said, you know, your cutleries, HOE count, you have to conduct this, all this, whether you're using the technology, whether you're using barcode, no, you still have to do the old school, go and count, lay out everything. You have to count and and you have to do it on a regular basis. It doesn't matter whether it's normally for HOE or cutleries. Your monthly inventory for kitchen is a monthly inventory. You must know about it. From there, you can analyze a lot of things, whether chef is overstocking his thing, whether it's F&B or whether it's kitchen. It doesn't matter in that way. So we still have to go back to the old school to still go and do all these inventories. Okay, example, housekeeping, you know, all these gas amenities. You know, sometimes the guests might just use the shampoo, but never use the budget. So what do? Sometimes this housekeeping stuff, you know, I just take and through. But, you know, this is where, like, again, you got to keep training the staff, keep as a some of the HODs, you know, like Mr. Ruben said, we got to train them. We got to know the important, why is this important. It's not, you know, the biggest thing you look into is your expenses. Your expenses is the most important thing, whether you need to analyze whether am I overstocking, whether we are overusing or we have this tidapa attitude, you know, this is where you need to keep training the staff and keep educating what is cost management all about. And then the most important thing is, and we need to make them understand, and we also need to share with them what we normally do. See, like we will every month. Okay, example, I'm the cost controller. Okay, does income audit need to know? Income audit is in charge of revenues. He or she will be just knowing the revenue. Okay, I know my revenue, but is he bothered about the PNL? No, she or he won't not, because this is where the director of finance, or we come in and get because of your revenue, my food cost is so much. They need to know we are interrelated. Okay, this all need to, does accounts payable department need to know about food cost? Yes. Like example, why? She's the one that paying all the invoices. So they need to know whether we are paying, hey, last month I paid so much, why am I this month I'm paying? So she need to know, oh, this month the revenue is low, we bought lesser. So all this in finance, it's not only, oh, only the HOD need to know what's the figure. You see, sometimes some of the HODs, I think Mr. Ruben will not worry, they will share their PNL. They will call all their managers and say, okay, this is our PNL for the month. Okay, restaurant ABC has made so much of profit. Why is your food cost so much? These are the two things they will mention, correct, Mr. Ruben? Revenue and your cost. Third is expenses. So these three things work hand in hand. If your revenue is good, your cost is high, your expenses is high, then you get a bad profit. All right. So this is where you need to understand. You see, like again, figures are something that you don't like, but in order for you to grow, the most important thing is again is your cost management and your revenue and your expenses. These are the three things. You can say, oh, I want to be a restaurant manager. Okay, fine. You're not going to be a waiter. Example, I'm just giving an example. Yes, you are very good in serving. You get very good compliments from the guests. Your product knowledge is good and all these things. What the next level you get promoted to a restaurant manager? You know your product. You know how to sell. You know how to train your staff. What is the next thing? Your figures, numbers. You must know. Why is my food cost so high? Why is my food cost low? Why is my revenue like that? And why is my expenses there? So in order for you to grow, as you all are degree holders, let me tell you something. I realized when I was in Sunway, now I'm in Sunway Putra KL. I was previously in Sunway Resort, Sunway Lagoon, you know, the 3 elephants there, the big resort. So when I was there, and Sunway University, Sunway also have their students, hotel management students. So I will ask every time they come, the HR send the intern for training. I will ask them, why did you take hotel management? And then I'll ask the first thing. The second thing is, which department you want to go? They are confused. They are confused. Let me tell you something. When you go and study for a doctor, okay, you finish, you go for two years housemanship, if I'm not mistaken, then you become a doctor. Sorry guys, I got to tell you something. When you have a degree in hotel management, you got to start from the sketch. I be very blunt, whichever the department is, doesn't matter, housekeeping, front office, F&B or whatever, even you are a steward washing the plate, to become a chief steward, you got to start from sketch. When you hold a degree, you don't become straight as a F&B director. You ask Mr. Ruben, I think he will tell you where he started as a waiter. Me too, I also started as a waiter. So nothing is easy. You see, today we are here talking to you all on smart cost management is because we learn to know what is the figure all about, what is cost. You got to go down and know, okay, if your guys come and say, oh, how much of stock you have, beverage stock you have, oh, I got 10 cans of Coke, you know, they will say, but it's not. How do you know it's not being consumed? By the staff, you know? Like what Mr. Ruben said, you know, they take the tissues those days, you know, they wipe the shoes and all this thing. So this smart cost management is, for me in the hotel industry, you still have to go back to the old school. Okay. Example, like another thing, smart cost management. Okay, now, you know, the lights that they use in the office in the all LED, you know, that is all smart cost management. That is, you go based on using the technology. Example, nowadays we don't print out menus in the room really. We use the scanner code to know what's the menu in the hotel, you know. That is all smart cost management. That is using the technology. So, but some of it, like what again, I repeat again, it's still basic, very old school, still groundwork need to do inventories, need to do spot checks. So all these need to be done. Even your linen, we still keep counting, the towels, whether gas to, discards, are we using discards, whether gas have taken, Now, those days, I remember before a guest can check out. See, this is what, again, we don't practice this really anymore. Because why? They are changing things. Oh, gas won't do like this. No, those days I still remember, just say I'm going checking out room 1203. Okay, are you hold on, sir? Then they will call a runner. Can you room 123 checking out? They go and check the minibar. They go and check whether the towel or one towel missing. Sir, then you will ask the guest, sir, have you accidentally taken a towel of us? If not, we need to charge and all this thing. We do all this thing. Now, no. Now no more. All now self-express. Just drop in the card, and then you go. When the housekeeping maid goes up to the room, oh, see 2 towels missing, and then what? See, there's no more smart cost management, So then we got to, do the late charges. What if the guests paid cash and never, don't have a credit card? All these things. You see, that's where sometimes smart cost management doesn't work 100%. I mean, sorry guys, I know the subject is tough, but you still have to have the basic. So I know it's a bit tough thing for you all to understand, but let me tell you something. In order for you to grow in the hotel industry, you need to know your figures, your product knowledge, your service, your training, everything you can learn. But in order for you to see, a lot of F&B directors, most of the GMs of the hotel are mainly from F&B background. Very rare you see an F&B general managers from finance. No. Okay, and a lot of directors operation are mainly from also F&B and also housekeeping, And another thing I like to tell, if you look at the hotel industry, I know most of the hotel director of finance come from cost control. Let me tell you something. Yeah, you can ask me why I cannot. Not that I don't want. I just, of course, you have to have the papers, lah. That's another thing. You have to have your ACCA and all these things. That's why you look at me, I just stop everything in SPM, sometimes, all the students will come and say, how come you know so many things? And where did you do a degree? I said, I never did my degree. I always see the college, university, I just passed. I never stepped into anything and did any course. But you know so many things. Let me tell you something, guys. In order for you to be a good in your figures, your numbers, in knowledge, keep reading, keep analyzing, keep knowing a better way to manage your cost. I keep doing that. I don't stop myself there, but I keep, going down, checking with chefs, F&B. I work very close with them, with the income audit, the revenue, everything. I want to know, the people say, why you every time you come? And I say, no, this is what I need to know. This is my job. So, again, I like to repeat, those of y'all, finishing your degree soon or later, please bear in mind these 3 things that I'd like to tell you. Your labor costs, you can't do anything. That's what the management is there. But these 2 costs, food costs, beverage costs, and your expenses. These are the main 2 things that you need to manage. Okay, I think that's all, and I don't want to, put too much input. As Ruben has spoke so much about it, and as well as a HOD, and I as a cost controller, I told you, very important, the basic. Back to old school, still have to put your food down, go to your garbage bin, check everything, what is chef throwing. Sometimes I come back at the times that I come back at 11:30 night, just to do a spot check, just to see what chef has thrown into the garbage. This all cost management. This is how I practice, and a lot of cost controls out there will vouch, still we can't use the technology. We only use the technology. The one thing I like to tell you, the technology in your inventory management. That is where you don't use, those days you use bean card, you don't have, okay, I got 10 cartons of shampoo, okay, I took one, so how much balance, once we issue, they come with the manual form, you write, and then you go to the bean card. Now it's no more already, it's all system. Okay, that's where you use this smart cost controlling, the inventory management. Your inventory management is something that you soon. Another thing on the smart cost management is how you manage your inventory. Your inventory, are you requesting based on what you need? Not to keep, I don't want to go lah, malas, hari ni saya malas nak pergi store, besok saya tak mau pergi, I angkat for next week as well. No. You, smart cost management, this is also very important. Only request what you need. That's it, period. You don't overstock. I keep 2 months stock. Then you see, where you will see the impact? The P&L. Okay, when the P&L comes out, you see, hey, why are my expenses so much? Oh, gas supply, gas amenities took so much. Why you took so much? See, you cannot lie. You cannot lie with figures. Let me tell you something. You cannot lie with figures. The moment you take overstock and you keep, it shows in your P&L. Okay. All right, it shows in your P&L. That's where when you go to P&L meeting, you'll be questioned by the general manager. Why is your expenses so high for your gas supply? That's where I'll be also sitting, and then ask, why is it so? What's that? What they request? Or they requested 10 carton. Why you request so much? The occupancy is so much. Did you utilize? No. Then you come. You cannot lie. You cannot run away. So, in order for you to grow in the hotel industry, the tourism industry, you got to know your cost management. These are very important things. Your training, your other product, everything that will come hand in hand when you start learning. But for you to know better in cost control, you need to know from the scratch. I think that's all for me. Thank you. I don't know if you all need to answer anything. I'm fine. I'm ready to answer you all.
Right, thank you, Mr. Shan. It's interesting to know that being in cost control, yourself as cost controller, it's not like, I think most of students expect that cost controller must just sit in the office. But now, when you say that you have to go and do a spot check and wait all the wastage and whatnot, I think it's an eye-opening for all of us. And talking about cost controlling, I have asked this question to Mr. Ruben, and he said that one of the important things is that you must train your staff, and then you must make awareness on be responsible about cost controlling at their level. Okay, I have one question to you. Besides training, besides giving awareness, what are the other mechanisms that you are doing to make sure that you can inculcate the cultures of cost controlling among all the staffs?
Okay, good question. See, example, like again, I forgot to touch on purchasing just now. Purchasing is another cost, very important people in the cost, because that's where they negotiate all the prices. Whatever is being bought for the whole entire hotel. It doesn't matter whether it's just on fruits, vegetable, fish, everything. Everything is all we need to do a tender. That's where they play also the important role. They are the rather advisor for us. Okay, they say, okay, I'm buying this. Okay, we have this 3 type of fish. This fish costs so much. This supply is giving so much. So these are the people that you need to work also very closely, which I forgot to touch just now. Thank you for asking this question. So these are the things that we need to know. Whether are we getting from the right supplier, right pricing. Pricing is also another important cost factor in smart cost controlling. That is very important. It's not just on seeing on how much you're going to sell. You see, sometimes, example, I give you an example. Okay, example. When you do a recipe, fish and chip, okay? Fish and chip, guys, this is just for your ears only. Okay, this is something, you know, the price that you go to any hotel or you go to a big restaurant, you know, you see the price. Wow, why the fish and chips so expensive? 36 ringgit, 35 ringgit, and all this thing. You know, whose work is that? We, as the cost controller. So sometimes don't curse us, you know, but there's a reason why we do all this pricing factor. This pricing factor is another thing that, like example, we are given a budget. Every month we are given a budget on food cost 30%. It varies, yeah, but it's not a fixed 30%. Some hotel is 32%, some hotel is 35%, some hotel is 38%, some even 40%. That means your food cost is 40%, your profit margin is 60%, correct? So from that 60%, don't forget your labor cost. All right. So this is where, when you do a recipe, when you do a pricing, okay, even example, you see why, have you understand why is my room so expensive? But when you go in, it's only, you know, it's only nothing, very basic. You got shampoo, budget. You see, when we do the cost, room cost, this room cost, you must understand, the room cost per room in an average is about 80 to 85 ringgit, average. Why? When you go to room, don't forget, somebody need to wash the bed sheet, the pillowcase, all your linen, your refill the amenities, and all that. It's about 80 to 85 ringgit in a 5-star hotel. Okay, you got your, you know, sometimes you got your Nescafe, sachet, you know, all this, all that is cost factor. It's already cost. That's why sometimes, oh, 100, so it's about 85 ringgit. Oh, my room is about 150. Okay, so you won't know. I, as a cost control, I know whether that's why sometimes, you know, my wife hates me, you know, whenever I do, whenever we go for our grocery marketing, you know, when I go to book a hotel and all this thing, she hates me. She don't like me to, you know, do. And example I'm giving you. See, this cost control, I'm into it. I'm so much into it until I go even marketing. Say I go with my wife, I want to buy. She will be taking the sardine. She will take the Ayam brand. Okay, correct? Ayam brand. When she put 2 things, before she go to the counter to pay, I mean, whatever she have taken, the sardine, no more Ayam brand. It becomes AAA brand. It's same. It's a sardine for me. Maybe Ayam brand is 8 ringgit 90 cents, the big one. Yeah, I think so. That's the price. I will take the one AAA 6 ringgit 90 cents. See, even there, she will tell me, please don't do your cost control job with me. You know, so this is where you need to understand, you know, what I'm trying to say. This pricing factor is one more important thing, that are we getting the right price for the product? Okay, I hope I have answered the question.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shan.
Sorry, I just saw some messages, some questions being asked.
Yes.
I
We are going
can't.
to have the questions, okay, and we are going to discuss together, Mr. Shan.
Okay, okay.
Right. Okay, so we have, thank you, Mr. Shan, again for your presentation. Okay, so let's, now we are moving into a question and answer sessions. Okay, so we have one question from Ahmad Hazik. The question is the hospitality and tourism industry already or likely to be moving towards different directions because of this COVID experience? If so, how is the industry evolving and what are the new direction it's moving to? Right, I think Mr. Ruben, you can answer these questions. Your mic is mute, Mr. Ruben. You can unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz, for this question. I think it's a very interesting question, and also I think now everyone is talking about the COVID. Yeah, now towards me, and I think what is happening with the industry at the moment. I think everyone is practicing the new norm of everything in the hotel industry, right? From checking in of the hotel to the food and beverage department to the rooms division. Everyone is now with the new norm, new ways of doing services, and I think it will not die off. because hotel business is actually a very huge investment. So I don't think anyone or any owners will close down the hotel unless if the hotel is actually a very old hotel and needs a lot of money for refurbishment. They might close down the business at this COVID pandemic time, because I think it's not worth it to do a renovation, and they never know when it's going to restart back the entire industry. But for the new players, for the new hotels, the new brands, brands like Hilton, brands like Intercontinental, brands like Marriott, they will definitely will not stop, because tourism it will happen soon. We never know when COVID is going to come to an end. Just take for an example, like now when we watch Euro 2020, look at the stadium. It's full. Because everyone who's been locked down for the past 1.5 years is just waiting when the doors will be open. So once the door opens, I believe tourism will pick up tremendously. It might even surpass 100% above in terms of tourism. Take for instance, when I was in Doha last year, when COVID started last year, and towards the end of last year, when Malaysia opened the lockdown, I believe, somewhere in 2019, end of 2019, I believe. Already Villa Langkawi, one of our sister property, since Malaysia took down the lockdown, within 7 hours, the hotel was fully booked. Within 7 hours of opening the lockdown. So I believe tourism and hotel industry will definitely move ahead. I don't see them going backwards. As I said again, if any old hotels, yes, you might hear a few old hotels closing down because they feel it's time to change. Right? Certain hotels has been around for 20 years. They have closed down. In Equatorial Penang, a lot of hotels have closed down because they're actually a very old hotel. So the owners might be thinking of using the property for some other terms of some other investment in business. I believe, I think Hafiz, I think that's what I feel, and that's what at the moment the hotel tourism is actually looking at. What's happening at the moment now, most of the hotels have actually laid down their staffs, some of them on contracted basis, just to clean the rooms, especially the housekeeping. F&B outlets are closed down because there is no dine-in, but the staffs are still intact. So they're doing cleaning, maintenance, preventive measures in the hotel on a weekly basis with half pay cut. Things are running just to keep the industry moving on. Yeah, thanks, Sophie.
Right. Talking about the same questions, Mr. Shan. I think thank you, Mr. Ruben. Okay, Mr. Shan. We are still in these questions. I think you might add a little bit more on the cost cutting during this pandemic. Since the student asked the questions about how it's going to be evolved in this pandemic time. So how do you see that the cost cutting is being executed during this pandemic? Mr. Shan?
Yeah, okay. I give you an example. Okay, of course, the main cost cutting comes, as what I mentioned earlier, labor costs. You see, when the pandemic time, before the pandemic, I had a team of 7. So including me, it's about 8. Okay. Now I have only 3. So this is the major cost cutting will happen. The first thing is, of course, your manning, your labor cost. Second, of course, the higher you are, that's where your pay cut comes in. You see, of course, pay cut based on your level from manager, assistant manager, then you go to department head, and then you go to the ESCO. So this, of course, is a big pain for us, especially the management staff. There are also some management staff who we do not touch on their pay, because based on salary scale, they have a salary scale. Example, I'm just giving an example. Those above 5,000, okay, impact. Below 4,000, and then below 5,000. The best part is there's a guy who's earning, just giving 4,800. It's just by 200 ringgit. And then the guy who's earning 5,000 gets a pay cut. It's a big, it's a big pinch from our pocket. So of course, this cost. If you're looking at the industry, when it's going to come, I hope I'm not being blunt. Like what I'm going to be very open. We have no proper planning yet. I be very blunt. We just have a plan with no direction. So definitely, like what Mr. Ruben said, it will come back. Whether it's going to be this year, no. But bear in mind, you're only looking at local tourism. Not until the borders are open, you won't have the luxurious time like how in Penang, Langkawi, you have all these foreigners coming and jumping into the beach. No. But this is my point of view. So it's going to be, you see, it's not about cost cutting. Of course, this is where the higher management will come, cost cutting, It's about how we educate the staff to use all these things. Like you see, like example, a maid goes in, that's now I said, and she sees a shampoo, and it's being used, but the bath gel is not used, whether she keeps aside, these are the unused ones, whether she put it back, all this thing. So you must understand that part also is how we manage this, how we tell the staff how to manage whatever they have. Example, sometimes you also have to educate on to the guests especially. Sometimes, they bring the kid, they bring the just say I got 4 kids, my wife, but we only give 2 towels. Okay. And then they will call up, this is our Malaysian, mentality. Everybody want their own towel. So, this is where we need to say, sir, we only can, maximum, we only can give 4 towels. All this thing. Not us when he gives. So is your cost increase? But you don't forget your room cost. Your room cost usage. How much I told you? 80 to 85 ringgit. Now you got extra another, from 2 towels went to 4 towels. So do you think your profit is reduced? Yes. So that's where we need to put, like that's where department like Marcom, we need to go and talk to them. Hey, can you put, we due to what do you call this? What's the word? Sustainable thingy. We are only allowed to use 3 towels. Please share or reuse the towel and all this thing. So if we going to give and give, tanya bagi. Sometimes remember that another thing we put mineral waters inside. We give free. Maximum we give 4. And then us take. Sometimes, there's that time, those days when we used to go to the hotel, we see all the maid cleaning the rooms, right? The maid will be inside, but the cart will be outside, right? You can see all the coffee, tea, mineral water, then while we are passing, kan malu, tak boleh tanya, tambah. Kita jalan, macam angkatlah 2 dari tukar jalan, See, this is where our Malaysian mentality, sometimes we try to use this. So if you're talking about cost management, it's all, again, to individual, how we train the staff to understand why we are, this one is true. So sometimes there's one time I did the yield test for papaya and watermelon. The girl, so I took a girl from the accounts department. So what is yield test? I said, come now, you follow me, I show you. So she came, this one also. Then, the papaya got the BG, right? That one also I weigh, So I weigh, sir, this one also you want to weigh? I say, yeah, this is all wastage. This all you cannot be used. But we are buying the papaya for the whole papaya. So this is all being waste. So these are things, okay, they know. So these are sometimes, when there's a yield test, when chef does, they need to call the commis 1 or all the normal commis, to understand all this, why we doing this yield test. So this all again, Ruben said, Mr. Ruben said, we got to train the staff to understand what is cost management all about.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shan. Talking about that papaya, let's not discuss about durian. All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shan. Okay, now let's look into the second questions from Ms. Kamarina Zulaiga. I think since Mr. Shan has been talking about career a little bit during his presentation, so I think I asked this question to Mr. Ruben on the questions in terms of the second one. Yeah, looking at how badly the hospitality and tourism industry affected by COVID, what is the prospect of still building a career in this industry? Looking into your perspectives.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So Anik Anas, right? Anik Anas. I think hotel industry, Anik, I believe is more to actually it's a very big, vast, complex. If you ask me at the moment, I would say from my experience, you see, from the year 1991 till now, I have not changed a single job, and I was not jobless from 91 till now, right? Throughout the journey, I had beautiful memories. I think this is the only industry for me. You could get a job anywhere in this part of the world, right? Don't only think about Indonesia. This industry is actually a customer-based industry, customer service. In hotel industry, serving food and beverage, if you know the job, you could build your career in any countries that you like, because in every country you go, there is a hotel. Doesn't mean you only can work in the hotel. You can work in a catering department. In the F&B, you can work in any restaurants. You can manage cafes. You can manage. The industry is large, and the best thing is working in the hotel industry for me is the context that you build along the way. The context that you build along the way. It's not like an office job where you go into office every day. You turn left, you turn right, you see the same face. No, right? Hotel industry is something that you go to work every day. You meet new faces, new people, new experience. It's a very fun thing, if you ask me. And I think this industry is going to come back soon, of course. And when it comes back soon, a lot of vacancies going to come out. A lot of hotels are actually opening up at the moment, is what I get information. Not only in Malaysia, also in the third world countries like Vietnam is expanding. China is expanding. Anyone who knows Chinese, it's a very big, I would say, thing, because China is really expanding. Hiltons are opening about 300 hotels in China, and they're really looking for hoteliers to come, especially if you know Chinese. So that's an extra advantage, I would say. And you know something, that most Asian countries like to appoint Malaysians because of our hardworking. If you to be surprised, I won't be surprised to tell you this. When I was in Qatar, most of the hoteliers in Qatar, they look very highly upon Malaysian hoteliers. They said, "How do you all do it? How do you all work 14 hours, 16 hours, 7 days a week?" They always ask me this question. I said, "Why do you ask me this question? That's norm in Malaysia." But you won't believe me, in Qatar, they only work 7 to 8 hours. They do not work more than 8 hours. It's because that's how the rules and that's how the government rules is there. You're not allowed to work more than 8 hours. The company can't force you. So in Middle East, let's share a little bit experience. In Middle East, it's 8 hours. So they always say, now in Malaysia, we hear they said in Malaysia it's norm. It's already a norm thing. 14 hours, especially if you work in F&B, 14 hours it's daily. Nothing to shout about. Sometimes you go 16 hours, sometimes from breakfast right up to dinner, non-stop functions. So Malaysian hoteliers in Qatar is very, very demanded. Not because of that, because of our language. We can speak, we can speak English fairly. So yeah, Anik, Anas, I think I've actually have a little bit about your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ruben. And do not yet, because I think you have one question, last questions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, in your opinion, which smart techniques are applicable in evaluating staff performance to increase efficiency of smart control? I think the question asking about as HOD, okay,
Yeah.
how do you basically reward the staff in terms of when they actually uphold the smart control or cost controlling part?
Okay, smart control. Okay, as HOD. Okay, no. we have appraisals for individual staff on a one-to-one basis, on quarterly, yearly, and stuff like that. That's one thing. Now, second thing is usually what happens is what we used to do or what we practice back in my Hilton time and also in Holiday Inn time. When we have the P&L reports on a monthly basis where we have all the managers sitting together, which department who has the best profit and I would say the best profit and also in line with their budget in terms of budget, they get awarded in ways and kinds. Of course, we do not give them monetary ways. Of course, that is not allowed or not a practice in the hotel to give. So what does the finance department does is sometimes to give them cinema tickets for the entire restaurant crew to watch the cinema. We do not go on individual person because we find that individual is difficult to track in terms of upholding the cost. It cannot be a one-person show. It has to be a team effort. So that's why we go by restaurants. It's producing a good result. That means something is good. Maybe they're not very good, but something is good in the department. That's why they're controlling, or the manager knows how to get the staff motivated. So we always reward the entire restaurants in terms of giving them cash vouchers, giving them. It depends on the finance department what they allocate. Sometimes they buy movie cinemas. Sometimes they give them a movie night, something like that. Yeah, some sort of.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ruben. And Mr. Shan, do you have an input on this in terms of rewarding the staff if the staff is upholding the smart cost control principles? Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree with Mr. Ruben. Sometimes you got to get the staff involved. These are the practice that not only the managers is the one responsibility, just say the restaurant manager or the department head or the F&B director it doesn't matter, whoever it is. We got to motivate the staff. See, sometimes now this thing, see, we Malaysians also, we have this, this Tidapa attitude, we, like example, what Mr. Ruben said, when today the sale is down, just say yesterday the sale was down, what do? Do we come and encourage the staff, hey, come, okay, yesterday our sales was down, okay, let's make work together, today, okay, we target this, okay, let's go for a teh tarik, if we achieve this, sometimes just should not just be depend on the management, among the team itself, the restaurant itself, okay, let's chip in, doesn't matter, like we make ourselves happy. I achieve, then I mean, you can give 10 ringgit, it's okay, you chip in 10 ringgit. If the guy can chip in 20 ringgit, or maybe, I don't have this one, sorry, I can't. Never mind, you come, join us, doesn't matter. So these are the motivations. See, this thing is lacking in this pandemic now, is motivation. And then we don't, see, one more thing that you need to do. Okay, pandemic now, everything is slow, like you all asked whether it's going to impact the industry. Yes, it's have impacted the hotel industry in a big. What is my career growth? This is what you all want to know, whether it's a good industry. I will say it's not 100%, it's a bad industry. It's what, if you, let me tell you something. If you have worked in hotel industry, you can work in any industry. Not to doctors, lawyers, I'm talking about just in general in industry. That's why when there's some accountant or somebody from finance says work only in factory, some corporate company, and comes to the hotel industry, wow, they go crazy. It's not easy because you are liaising with many departments, housekeeping, F&B, you name it, everything you are liaising. It's not like a corporate, it's just very corporate, You see the same, like what Mr. Ruben said, they not see the same face every day in, day out. No. Today the F&B director will come, the chef will come in, the executive housekeeper come in. So you got all these weird people, or not weird, I'm not saying they're weird, all this different kind of attitude, kind of people. You know, there's executive housekeeper. Somebody is very good. He knows how to do the bait. He trains, but they are not very good in the figures, and that's where they come. You know, so if you can survive in hotel industry, you can survive in any industry. Let me tell you something, because I started in F&B, went to front office, then went back to F&B again, and now then I said, oh, you know, it's like what Mr. Ruben said, 14 to 15, 16 hours. It is crazy. It's true. That is very true. You cannot come out doing a degree thinking, oh, I'm going to go for an 8-hour job. Forget it. Even I'm as a cost controller, let me tell you something. We got month-end closing. You know, sometimes the month-end close falls on a weekend. We got to come back. No choice. Oh, this week you're going back, going to work. Yeah, you know, children ask, yes, I have to go. I need to finish my accounts closing, you know. So these are the things. And now this thing called work from home, you know. Let me tell you something about this work from home. Some people are also kind of taking granted, you know, and you can't blame them also. When you work from home, what is the tools that you have given them? You know, not everybody, okay, you work from home, okay, everybody gets a laptop, okay, no. We use, sometimes some of them use their own phone. And in phone, using the phone, you know, some will say, oh, why you, they will do this, you know, Teams meeting, Zoom meeting, and all this thing. Oh, my house, no, not good coverage. See, all these excuses, you know, we have. So this is not productive in a way. But then you must also find ideas how to improve yourself. You know, sometimes, you know, some of us, you know, like example, we don't have a tool. You only 2 things you check when you work from home. It's either you check your emails or you check your WhatsApp group. What if there's no email, there's nothing in the WhatsApp group? What do? You know, I don't want to go in deeper, you know, everybody relax at home. This is where you time to improve yourself. Whether the hotel industry is the right industry, at the moment, it's very hard to answer you, because why? There's so many hotels closed, you know, like Mr. Ruben said, it will come back big. You know, everybody is like a, you know, lepas dari kandang keluar lari, semua nak pergi beach, semua nak pergi, you know, it will come back. When? We don't know yet. But don't give up. Oh, I went and did the wrong course. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. Don't give up. It's one of the best industries, I tell you. You like what Mr. Ruben again, you know, you have mentioned most of the things. It's where you meet people. You don't get bored. You know, so hang on there. Keep doing what you're doing. Finish your course. Improve. Try to go for like what, you know, like the industry is opening other places in China and all this thing. Let me tell you something. I regret one thing. I think Ruben also will agree with, Mr. Ruben also will agree to that. Language. Try to, you know, currently, do you know the most spoken language is English in the world? Second is, you all know, is French. Do you know what will be the second language? Mandarin. So that's why nowadays you see my children are all attending Mandarin, you know, all this, you know, all is very important. It's very important. Try in this pandemic time, if you just say you've done your degree or whatever, please go and do language courses. You know, these 2, French, Mandarin, Japanese, you know, all these 3 are 3 things, you know. You know, sometimes I like the way, you know, the French speak, you know, the people, you know, it's like they got a kind of, you know, love in it. You know? So all Mandarin is something that is very good. You know, sometimes, you know, you see some advertisement will come up, preferably, they will put everything, and then down there they put that preferably Chinese speaking. Just put, I want Chinese. No, they won't, because you can't, because we are multiracial. You know, some are there. I know some of them who can speak Chinese, you know. So I will encourage you all. This is during this pandemic, until the industry open back, everything will come good. Please go and get a language course. Now you can learn it from YouTube. We got there's so many online thingy that is going on. Please go and improve your language. And second thing, because of course we speak English, go and brush up your English as well. So these are the things. Keep reading, keep improving, all these things that you need to do every day. This is my personal advice. I think Mr. Ruben also will tell you, half an hour every day, read a book, self-improvement book, whether it's on yourself, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in the industry, whether it's on money matters. Keep reading. These are the important things. If you look at the world economy, go to another thing I like to suggest. See, I go to all this Facebook, FMB knowledge. You can go, how to set the table, how to do. I keep improving myself. Even though I'm back to cost control in finance, I keep, this changed already. Last time, how do you set a fine? You go to Facebook, everything is there. Another thing I like to suggest, World Economy Forum. You go and see what is happening. What is happening to the industry, what is happening to the world economy. So when it's going to happen. All these are all from the top level of people, World Health. You go and see what is happening. You will understand. It's not a bad industry. Yes, so you hotel close. Some people, especially some of them, like in marketing, they're scared. They lose job. See, there are some sales people, managers has been transferred to FNB. It's like a 6-month cross exposure for them to go and get exposed, cross exposed. Like that's how Mr. Ruben said, if you're a bartender, doesn't mean you don't know how to do cashiering, doesn't mean you don't know how to do a clear table. Oh, I'm a bartender. No, that's gone. The industry is no more. I'm a waiter, I'm a manager, I'm a waiter. No, you have to be hands-on in everything. So that is my point of view. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shan. And Mr. Ruben, a little bit since Mr. Shan has been giving an advice to students, and let's end the session with an advice from you, Mr. Ruben. 30 seconds.
Okay, sure. Thanks. Okay, what I would like to end now is just to think about, since we're talking about smart cost. See, what is going to happen, what I feel is going to happen soon is we're going to come into the new norm in hotels where the cost of F&B is going to be increased. I'm surprised. Why do I say that? It's because, as you know now no one is going to share spoons on the buffet line. Am I right? You're going to go to a hotel buffet. No one is going to share the spoons. No one is going to share the buffet because they don't want to touch. So all this is going to become new norm. All right. What's going to happen is everything is going to be pre-packed, individual pre-pack. So all this is cost because you need to buy takeaway containers, you need to buy individual containers. People are not going to share the fork and spoon. So fork and spoon has to be into a plastic. All this is going to become new norm. And this is going to definitely increase the cost. But of course, that is something for us to look forward in seeing how the new norm in hotel industry is going to be. As for the industry, I believe the hotel industry, tourism industry is a beautiful industry. You all should not give up. You all should just proceed what you all like to do, and please continue doing it, because this tourism industry and hotel industry will never die. It will come back. As what Shan said, when it's going to come back, I believe when it comes back, it's going to be a hit. It's going to be a strong. I believe everyone in the house is waiting for us to go out after a long lockdown period. So the industry will come back, and I think it's a very interesting industry to be in. I love 35 years. I have no regrets being in the industry. Never. In the industry of 30 years, I've met David Beckham, I've met Manchester United team, I've met all the ministers in Qatar. I've taken photo with Mahathir. I've seen Abu. This is the industry you get to meet people. As I said again, you meet the rich and famous. You reach the. It's fun. It's fun. It's really fun, and it's not boring to be in hotel management. Of course, it comes with patience. It comes with knowledge. It comes with long hours. But it's a very, very interesting industry. So I hope all the students take it positively. Yes, you'll hear a lot of rumors. Hotels are closing down. Don't worry. As I said again, the whole hotels will close down because they're not going to spend too much of money at the pandemic to refurbish. But the new hotels will still move on. So your career is still there. Even though you choose front office, you choose F&B, doesn't matter, right? it's still good. That's my personal advice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ruben. Thank you,
Thank you,
so
Rafiq.
much. All right. Okay, again, I would like to thank again Mr. Ruben and Mr. Shan for
Thank you, Taufik.
yes, for a very interesting presentation and sharing
you,
your
thank you.
input with us. Excellent. And then I think it is giving us a different perspective and in terms of practices in the industry so that we can deepen our understanding and the students can deepen their understanding in this area, right? And again, Mr. Ruben and Mr. Shan, my name is Muhammad Taufik Zamri and my senior colleague, Ms. Flora Chumin Chang Abdullah, would like to salute you, sir. And then
Thank you.
hope all the best. And I think organizers, we are a little bit overrun, but I think because this is an engaging session, I think we are not losing it, right? So to
Thank you, thank you.
MC, I think back to you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shan, thank you, Mr. Ruben, and back
Thank
to
you,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ms.
Thank you,
Flora.
everyone. Thank you. Have a good day.
I'll just wait
Thank you,
for the. I think we have like photo session, but let's get back to the MC. Okay, Mr. Zero.
Okay.
Thank you for all students open the camera for photo shoot season. Let's start with our first chapter. Smile. Done. Next chapter. Smile. Done. Third slide. Smile. Done. Third slide. Fourth slide. Done. And last slide. Smile. Done. Thank you. It's the end of the event. It's the end of the event. I would like to thank everyone involved in making this event success, especially our moderator, Mr. Muhammad Taufik bin Zamri, and our speaker, Mr. Ruben Seladurai, and Mr. Shanmu Garajan, as well as my committees who have worked hard together and strive to ensure that the successful implementation of this event. Also, the students who follow us from the beginning to the end of this event. Don't forget to scan the present QR code for those who can scan. For those unable to scan, please see the chat box. We have provided the present of the link for you. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
Thank you.